Care Services, because there's no place like home.
Good South Florida Saturday, almost mid-morning. Mike McGann here with you as always on Limitless Health Horizons, one of my very favorite places to be. With you doing this program with, of course, my dear friend, Andrea Albertini. How are you, Andrea? Good to see you.
Good morning, Mike. Thank you again for a wonderful Saturday. Love spending time with you.
It's so great to be here and have these conversations. And this program, of course, is brought to you by Horizon Care Services. And by the way, a happy anniversary to Horizon Care Services. Today, celebrating 20 years of excellence with Horizon. Yes, 20 years of excellence in private duty home care. You know, we say that a lot, excellence in private duty home care, but a lot of the reason for that is just because Andrea, who is founder and owner of Horizon Care Services, leads that organization with her heart and with her conscience and with a legitimate love for the people that are involved, the people that need the care, the caregivers that she works with, and also just this massive network of people that she has to work with to help you with any of those needs. You can learn a lot more by heading on over to horizoncareservices.com, horizoncareservices.com, or by calling 561-776-7757, 561-776-7757. I mean, what do you always say about it, Andrea? You've got to look at yourself in the mirror and sleep at night, right?
Yes, and actually I did a very nice post on my personal Facebook page today, just being grateful for all my wonderful referral sources and people who have supported my business for so long in this last 20 years.
Yes.
That have helped me create this incredible, high-end customer service home health agency. Not just a home health agency, but a resource for our seniors in our community.
Resource is really the right word for it, because you have so much that you do when it comes to the at-home health care, but you will even help people find the proper assisted living for them. You'll put them in touch with people, even if it's not something that is anything you can bill for. I mean, to just put it right out there.
Sure.
You help people in ways that don't benefit you financially, but very clearly continue to keep you in the right place karmically, right? I mean, you're doing the right thing for people. And
exactly.
There are a lot of organizations out there, especially with something like home health care, that pop up in the times when there's demand and they're fly-by-night or the licensing, but they just don't have the heart that you bring.
No, and one of the things that, Horizon Care Services is not just a private duty agency, like you said. We are a resource.
Yes.
And you and I created this show to be able to share with our community about all the who's out there, who's the best, who does what, and how you can get a hold of those people.
Right.
And in a lot of information, education for our seniors, for our residents and our community. And, in this show, of course, plays throughout the world.
Yep.
But we also have a lot of locals who listen to the show. And Horizon Care Services is a local-owned agency who's not a franchise.
That's right.
And we talked about that all the time because, I created this by getting to know, the areas where I live, my community, the needs, the class level, the people, the kind of customer service that they need. And we have that. We have that customer service at Horizon, which is really important.
It's about the most important thing there is as far as that goes, because you get emergency situations. It's a very personal business.
Yes, it is.
You have somebody, they're coming into your home that you are trusting with your loved ones.
Yes.
It's what sets you apart so much. But the fact that you're willing and able to help people to find those other resources that they need. Look, you and I know a lot of things, but neither one of us are, say, attorneys, right?
Right.
We're not. We need to be able to let people know where they can go if they have those questions. And when it comes to something like caregiving, there's a lot around that can lead to a number of legal questions, whether it comes to caregiving, whether it comes to estates, protecting it all. There are resources out there. And you, Andrea, always bring the right ones in.
And remember, I don't know, some of you listeners who listen to the last week's show. Mm-hmm. We're doing a segment in caregiving. The stress that puts in caregiving when you, the family member, becomes a caregiver. the strength and the legal resources, and what do you need to do to protect yourself emotionally, legal, and and everything else that goes along with it. So so we have somebody special today that you're going to introduce, Mike.
Yes.
And then next week we have Guiding Light Care Management, Jamie.
Oh, you know I love them.
That we're gonna
They're the best.
they're going to talk about all the other good stuff.
Yep.
That's very good information. And then we're going to have Mindy, which she does an incredible home therapy with seniors who are
wow.
depressed, counseling, all kinds of stuff. So this is really an exciting month for Limited
is.
Health Horizons.
It's so important too because people, the focus, as is understandable, is always so much on the people that need the care.
Yes.
Our loved ones, our parents, grandparents, whoever it may be, the ones who need the care. That tends to be the focus. But because of that, the caregivers fall through the cracks.
Yes.
They don't get the same level of attention. But the fact is, it's so emotionally draining. It's financially draining if you haven't planned. There's a lot of issues that happen with it. And that's the number that we talk about a lot, Andrea.
Yeah.
Caregivers so frequently pass away before the people they are taking care of because of those stressors.
Yes, absolutely.
And we need those resources to make sure that you have the access to them.
Yep.
And you're protected. And to that end, we're really happy because we have with us attorney Kelly Sternthal, who I'm very happy to see with us today. How are you, Kelly?
Fine, thanks. Thanks so much for having me. And as always, Andrea is such a resource. I've known you for years, and not only are you smiling all the time, but I know you have such a caring personality, and you do go above and beyond. I've watched you. So again, thanks for having me.
It's wonderful to have you. So let's talk a bit about your areas of expertise. How can you help caregivers? How does it tie into the overall discussion of the needs of caregivers, Kelly?
Absolutely. There's so many things that you can actually do without immediately going to an attorney, but it's good to know what you will talk about when you actually get to a law office.
Oh, yes.
As you mentioned, the caregiver is the one that is managing all these details, and the details are in a continual process. So you're managing new information all the time as someone's health is changing.
It's a state of
as
flux.
You're bringing
it's
on
always going to be adapting and moving, and it's going to have ebbs and flows.
Absolutely. So I think it's important to initially define the documents that people would have access to or need, or maybe some of the things that you can do with prior to even getting documents created or drafted and signed.
Okay.
So very often a person will say, I need to get medical records for the person I'm caring for. And often doctors are talking to a wife or a caregiver or a sibling, but they really don't have to. With our HIPAA laws,
Right.
there is a statement that says you are in charge of your health care and no one else is in charge of it. So there's a document called a healthcare surrogate that is used during life.
Okay.
It's an advanced medical directive, which is actually giving permission for you to help a loved one with regard to health care.
Okay.
So that's really an important one. Very often, if you go to a law office, you'll get a document that can be used anywhere.
Right.
But if you are going to one specialist or one doctor, see if they have the document and complete it there.
What are the
So
ramifications if you don't? If that's not a document you have in place properly, what can happen?
So they will not talk to you.
Oh.
Say you're even making an appointment. Say that you're trying to call to make an appointment for your loved one or the one that you're caring for, and you're just trying to move things around, and they'll say, we do not have to talk to you. This is not your
Wow.
appointment. This is not your health care that you're talking about. Now, that it really depends what's going on in the office.
Sure.
It's just that legally they do not have to.
Right. Gotcha.
So we just want anyone that's caring for someone to have the authority to help them.
Yes.
And a healthcare surrogate is a permission to access medical records, to make appointments, to talk to the physician or caregiver, as with Horizon, to be able to have that communication. But then it also has the power, if you will, to make decisions if your loved one cannot.
Okay.
So it requires, some heart with it, and so many people think about that decision. Yeah. But you are working with your providers, your healthcare providers, your doctors, but you potentially will be making a decision for someone if they can't make a decision. It's a little bit of an insurance policy, if you will.
Certainly.
And we all hope that we never have to get to that point that we would have to make a decision for someone. But if a decision has to be made, you want the person you would choose to make that decision.
That's really well put. You want the person that you would choose, the person that you trust to make those decisions. I think a key part of that also is you hope you never have to have that document in force. But if that time comes, then at least you're ready. You've got it there, and you can take the action when it's required.
Right. And so much about this caregiving is planning.
Right.
For example, when you, this is not necessarily caregiving, but those that are parents, when you have a child, you immediately think, oh my gosh, what if I can't be here? Who would take care of my child?
Right.
And so, these are the thoughts that happen with every human that we care about someone and we want the tools to take care of them. So when it comes to someone that is ill or has a condition that is even there for a period of time and then hopefully goes away, or it's an extended long-term situation where, Horizon could be there to help care, you just want the documents in place so that you don't have to go through all these hoops while you're also managing the psychology of caring, the just all that goes with that. I mean, it's a challenging time.
It's not
for
a time
family.
that you need to have the additional stressors of figuring these things out.
Right.
There's enough on your plate, basically.
Right. So just knowing about them or hearing about them is typically a great service for anyone. So hopefully we can provide that to those listening.
Okay.
So the healthcare surrogate is permission for healthcare records during life to get access to records. And then if a decision cannot be made by the person giving the authority, then you're choosing a person.
Okay.
With that is then another document is a living will.
Okay.
Hopefully that is not one that needs to be used that often, but that is based on, there was a Terry Schiavo case that a lot of people recognize that name.
I remember it all.
And it was a husband and a woman's parents that cared for her completely, and she was on life support for about 7 years.
Yep.
And the husband decided that he thought it was time to let her go, and the parents said, no, it's not time. And they litigated that. So that's where our living will came from. It's again, giving someone permission to make a decision if two doctors are stating that nothing more that can be done for someone to be alive on without a machine.
Right.
So it's pretty extreme.
It made persistent vegetative state something that was in common vernacular for a while. Right. That was front page news with Terry Schiavo.
Yes.
And as a result of that, I remember the brain scans after a while just kind of put that debate to rest.
Right.
But that's a really important thing as well for the mental health of the caregivers too.
Yes.
To give them
right.
power.
And that's true, the mental health, because what is occurring is you're being asked to make a decision for someone you care about.
Yeah.
That's saying, no, I want them taken off of the machine. It's ultimately the hardest decision you could ever make for someone, and hopefully you never have to.
Right.
But if you have to, you're relying on the medical community as one point, and then secondly, you're choosing the person to make that decision.
This is all about having that power of choice and
Yes.
making those decisions,
Right.
keeping it with the people you love,
Right.
keeping it with people you trust to make those decisions with the advice of a
Right.
greater community. But at least having those documents in force
Right.
really takes away a lot of the questions and the red tape around it.
And a big part of this, I always like to mention to anyone talking about planning or, just caregiving, is that talking, communicating, and planning is a huge part of this. As we have different family dynamics and siblings and spouses, and that communication is so critical because we're all going to have something to deal with one day. I mean,
Yes.
we're all leaving one day.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. And there's so many things that we can do to make this an easier process so you really can love and care for the person that may be ill. And there's so much pre-planning that can be done, even just understanding how the doctor's office works or how the hospital works or how the bank works, that it's worth just taking the time to understand that, because as people potentially become ill or they're sick or they have a dementia of sorts, it gets very, very difficult to make decisions. And hands get tied, and it's hard on everyone. It's hard on the person that's not feeling well. It's hard on the person that's caregiving. And so a lot of this is that communication that happens before that you're relying or trusting on your spouse or your sibling or your parent, your child maybe, to just really feel that they will care for you. So I just encourage everyone to really build those family relationships, have that communication, and talk about the things that you have, and almost, it's easier to have the conversation when it's not an issue.
Oh,
Almost
certainly.
you're all together for a family event, and you say, okay, what's going to happen when you pass away? I was my dad was blessed. My dad has passed away, but we were blessed with time for him, and a big part of that time was planning. He was willing to plan, and it was such a gift to, my mom and my brother and I, because we really had everything discussed. So I just hope that for any family, because the burden of caring as well as not having that plan in place or knowing what they would want, or just settling some of these things that can be settled, if you can take care of some of that, it's such a gift to your family.
It really is. Get it out of the way early is the thing here. When you're not under a great deal of emotional stress, when it doesn't add to the burdens that are already so significant, right?
No, I had a client that, again, it was a younger client with an elderly husband, and nothing was prepared.
Okay.
So they had everything together, right? So what happened was, now he goes in a hospital, he becomes incapacitated.
Okay.
And I don't know how this happened. Maybe you can explain, Kelly.
Okay.
Some way, somehow, they appointed a guardian to take care of him. Okay, so now
an appointed guardian.
Appointed guardian.
Oh,
now
that's a legal proceeding. That's quite
right.
an event.
So I don't.
Yes.
I don't remember the whole story, but here's what happened.
Right.
So now you have a guardian who is a stranger,
right,
taking care of your husband and your finances.
Correct.
Ooh.
But wait a minute. The wife is still there. The wife is there.
Oh.
So now she's in charge of half of his finances and all his health care, because there was nothing established. Again, I don't know why it got to where it got. Maybe you can explain.
So there is a legal proceeding for guardianship, and that's when someone is unable to make decisions financially or personally for themselves.
Right.
And it is a system set up within our court system that someone stating a guardian should be appointed because a person may harm themselves or they are not making decisions.
No, I know, but I'm saying is I don't know how did this happen with this lady.
So someone can say, this person is not making decisions. I'm concerned. I'm worried about them. I would like to start a guardianship. They start a legal proceeding. They hire a law firm to do that, and then it's within the court system. And there's a process, and the process, once it starts, it has to continue and finish. In other words, a guardian is appointed, or it's determined that a guardian does not need to be appointed based on the ability of the person that we're discussing. So, but extreme, that if you can avoid that by providing the documents to care. So in other words, the healthcare one I talked about, and then you get to the durable power of attorney. But that example is possible, extreme.
Yeah, but what a quagmire to find yourself in, because you're talking about, you've got your loved one, this woman's husband, right, who is suddenly, there's a guardian that, I don't know if the wife even knew who the guardian was or who started that process, but either way, the power, some was stripped away. So it's crazy.
It was stripped. So it could have been a family member.
Yeah.
It could have been a friend who maybe thought that the wife couldn't make a decision.
Maybe thought they were doing the right thing. Could have had the best of intentions, but in the end,
some of them are good intentions. Some of them are bad intentions.
Of course, well, you get people that
because they want to be able to control the money of that person.
The money is the big one, the financial aspect of it.
Exactly.
And this can be avoided just by proper planning. Because I'm thinking, if that was, say, a family situation where somebody in the family brought that up, what does that mean for that family's relationship down the line? What a devastating thing that's going to be. What happens when you have this stranger in control of the finances and all of a sudden you find that some of the money you're depending upon as maybe that spouse is just gone. Where'd it go? Well, I thought they needed this or that. It takes everything out of your control in a time when you need that the least.
Totally.
Right.
Yep.
And that's part of planning. I mean, with guardianship, there's that negative scenario, and then there's the positive where someone does need to be cared for.
Right.
A special needs child or someone that really
I have
is
a
at
special
that
needs child. So for
Right.
me, hearing this is very, when you earlier said, what if something happens to me? I mean, that hits
Right.
me in the heart
I
every single
know.
time when I think about it. Making sure that you're that means I probably have to think about a few things myself, right? But
you're the guardian until your child's of age. But when
Right.
when a person's 18, they're an adult.
Yeah.
So it's a line in the sand. So we always want to look at how are we caring for our loved ones,
Yeah.
in a positive way or in an extreme way. And how do we prepare against something negative happening? We all should be really, caring for our family unit.
Sure.
And so how do we prepare for that? If in that situation, if there was a healthcare surrogate in place with maybe the wife named, and a power of attorney, which is a financial permission slip during life, is the kind of the quotes around permission slip.
Yeah, I get that.
It's quite a few pages long, but it does give you the ability to act as the person financially. In any financial situation. There are quite a few categories listed in it. That's called a durable power of attorney, which is broad. And then
Right.
you may have heard of a limited power of attorney. That's for one moment. But generally, you've got healthcare surrogate, living will, power of attorney. Those are documents during life. And then when you pass away,
Right.
a will is put in place
Okay.
or a trust.
Okay.
And that's how you manage a trust. You can manage business assets with, you can manage assets for children, and a will is pretty much a guideline for probate.
So disbursement allocation of those assets, again, in the way that you would like to see them dispersed or allocated.
Right.
It seems to me, two of the words I keep on hearing here are prepare,
Right.
and the other one is power. Because we're talking about, while you have that mental power to make those decisions, you have the power to determine how these things are going to shake out. You're going to have the power to determine who cares for you from a healthcare standpoint, from a financial standpoint. You have the power before you pass away to determine the disbursement of those assets. But if you don't do it while you are of sound mind,
Correct.
that power goes to other places.
Right.
And you don't want that to happen.
You may go to places that you don't want it to go.
You don't want it to go.
Because they don't have your best interest.
They don't. And
Right.
that really, wow.
Right.
Again, these are a lot of things we hear about and talk about, but Kelly is doing a great job of presenting the gravity
Yeah.
of
It is.
the situation. And gravity, remember the etymology of that word, it comes from grave.
Right. Oh.
It is gravely important
Right.
that you handle this.
And don't you want to be in charge of where all that you work for and who's caring
Yeah,
for you?
it's yours.
It's
Yours. It's your
power,
life's
as
work.
you
It's
said.
your heart. It's all of those things.
Right.
And you want to make sure that it's properly taken care of. But the good news on this is that we've got a Kelly Sternthal who can help you to do it.
Yes.
You've got the resources. Andrea, again, just bringing in absolutely the best people to talk on this.
Always. I love to share information. That's the most important thing for me, to be able for everyone to be educated. And that's why I love the show. I love to be here with you,
Yeah.
Mike, every Saturday.
I learned so much.
And
I was a financial advisor before I got into radio, and I just always learned so many cool things on this program.
I love it. I love it.
Kelly, how would people reach out to you? What would be the steps? What, in the next few minutes, what might a consultation look like if someone's speaking with you?
Sure. We my firm is DSM Law, so we have a website, dsmlawfl.com, and that has quite a bit of information on it. And our firm, we have 3 attorneys and an office manager, so we're a smaller, small knit firm or family, and we always have a 30-minute initial consultation. So it's really an education. I also encourage those that are listening, that if they do have a plan in place, that they read it or they double check with the lawyer that drafted initially.
Right.
It's something that is written to not always be revisited, but it's good to revisit because life can change. So I just encourage you to look at your estate plan, and I do encourage you to look at your beneficiary forms. That's one of the things you can do for free.
Okay.
Is your beneficiary form. When you write a name on a beneficiary form for an investment account or a bank account, that person will receive a check if you pass away. So there's some other particulars in there, but it's a little tool that is out there.
Relationships change. It's
Correct.
important to know this and make sure that the people that have your best interest and the people that you want to have things. Again, it's that power. It's that control of your own destiny.
Correct.
Based upon what you've created in your life. It's so important to do it now.
Correct.
You know, it's like there are products I talk about that are about preventive medical care. Do it before you have symptoms.
Yep.
The same is true here. DSMLawFL.com is that website.
Yes, sir.
DSMLawFL.com. They are local. Kelly Sternthal is here, and she will chat with you, help you with those forms, answer your questions, and give you that free consultation.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we just want to answer questions. We're all trying to protect families and move people forward.
I love this. It's fantastic. And of course, when it comes to fantastic, when it comes to people and things I love, well, that's where Horizon Care Services brings it all together.
Absolutely.
Those resources, that in-home care with a heart, with real love, with real concern, and real care for the human beings involved. And that's what Andrea Albertini does. 561-776-7757 is the number for Horizon Care Services. 561-776-7757 and horizoncareservices.com. Andrea, I'm telling you, you're someone that I met you before Legends Radio was even a thing.
Yep.
And I remember we're just chatting at a coffee shop as strangers, and I've known you for a while, and I just continue to respect you more.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Same here.
Well, you live what you say you live
Absolutely. Every day.
every day, and
That's why I sleep good.
that's it.
I know. Thank you
remind-
for all you do, Andrea.
I do.
And you too, Miss Kelly.
That's it. I do need a nap, but I'm telling you, Andrea Kelly, was wonderful, Kelly, to have you here once again.
Thank you.
The website for Kelly Sternthal, dsmlawfl.com, and to learn more about Horizon Care Services, questions you have on that, anything when it comes to caregiving. That number is 561-776-7757, 561-776-7757, horizoncareservices.com. This has been another edition of Limitless Health Horizons on Legends Radio. Our series on caregiving is going to continue next week, Andrea.
Yes. Next week we got Guide and Light,
Okay.
care management
Love 'em.
with Jamie and Hope.
And Hope.
So we're going to have
Yeah,
another
thanks.
wonderful discussion, and then the following week will be Mindy
Yep.
with the therapy,
Okay.
which is amazing as well. And again, concerning about caregiving, because it's not just the patient that needs, the care, is also the caregiver as well.
Absolutely.
It's so important. You don't want to miss a single episode.
Nope.
Of Limitless Health Horizons on Legends Radio. Mike McGann, Andrea Albertini, Kelly Sternthal, thank you again.
Thanks so much.
Have a great day.
Take
everybody.
care.
A wonderful one. See you soon.
Horizon Care Services, because there's no place like home.